What do liberal historians tell us or not tell us about fascism? Or what are they paid to tell us and not tell us? How is a liberal historian of fascism like Tim Snyder able to leave the States for a top tier job in Canada while an actual anti fascist historian like Mark Bray has to flee because of death threats? Let's talk about it. So there's been a lot of coverage of Snyder leaving Yale to teach at University of Toronto here where I live. And this recent piece in the New York Times says that he's doing great, that his signature first year history course is slated to start in January. It's called Hitler and Stalin Today, and it has so many registrations, it's going to overflow the 1,700 seat capacity of Convocation Hall. Now, your eyebrow might already be twitching at that course title. I mean, he comes to it honestly as a continuation of his core work in a book called Bloodlands from 2010, which equated Stalinist and Nazi violence, reviving the twinned totalitarianisms trope of Hannah Arendt. Now, nobody likes totalitarianism, so Snyder has been hugely popular as a major network talking head. And a lot of that comes on the strength of his little book, which is called On Tyranny, 20 Lessons from the 20th Century, which offers some decent psychosocial advice. Don't obey authoritarians in advance, maintain neighborly contact, defend institutions, keep your private life private, move to Canada. Well, he doesn't actually say that, but he gives good advice in bad times. But you know what word that little book doesn't contain? Capitalism. It's a book on tyranny in the 20th century, and it doesn't contain the word capitalism. It's like a Christmas miracle. I don't know how he did it. Now, I'm not some expert in Snyder's work, and I don't want to be unfair. I do know that he introduces a limited critique of unregulated capitalism in his 2024 book on freedom, but on balance, this is not his focus. And so I would just suggest being careful around any pundit who offers anything that looks like highbrow horseshoe theory that relies on claiming that fascist violence and communist repressions of counter-revolution are ideologically or morally equivalent. This standard liberal view avoids confronting that both fascists and communists are responding to capitalism and colonialism in opposite ways and dialectically, one following the other. Now, anyone who makes that avoidance eloquent and keeps the discourse right in the middle is popular on MSNBC and will be popular on Resistance Lib Facebook and is going to draw overflow crowds at Convocation Hall and big money precisely because it avoids criticizing capitalism as the root of fascist violence. So there's a kind of scholarship that power favors, and it's because it persuades the middle that capitalism is workable if we all attend to our higher angels and regulate it better. They're just wrong. That doesn't work. It never has. Now, Snyder's doing fine. He didn't actually have to move because of personal threats, but Mark Bray did, and the story of his flight to Spain after death threats from Turning Point USA operators is out of the news in a blip. No big university chair for him, no overflowing hall, just teaching undergrad courses at Rutgers by Zoom. Now, in the theme of be careful of the company you keep, I also want to flag that Snyder and other scholars profiled in the New York Times are all in Toronto under the auspices of the Munk School of Global Affairs and Public Policy. This is a neoliberal think tank that was seed funded by gold mining tycoon Peter Munk, who has a long history of supporting right-wing foundations and politicians. In 1997, he publicly praised Chilean dictator Augusto Pinochet for, quote, transforming Chile from a wealth-destroying socialist state to a capital-friendly model, unquote. Now, Peter Munk is long gone. He died in 2018, and his legacy institutions do a variety of things. But to give you a sense of the muddiness and some of the shit the Munk School can be affiliated with, just last week, the Munk Debates, now somewhat independent from the school, but still closely related, hosted a debate between Israeli war criminals, no Palestinians invited, about the future of Palestine. And the police came out in full force to make sure the protesters couldn't disrupt proceedings. Now, that position is not on Snyder, nor are the politics of Peter Munk. And look, I don't have any reason to believe that he's not a competent and dedicated historian who is genuinely concerned about authoritarianism. But He is also a very particular type of historian, honored for emphasizing certain things, and so by default, de emphasizing other things. And so I just think it's good to ask, on a structural level, why certain accounts of fascism get huge mainstream and institutional support, while others are almost invisible. And what would have to be different about the world for the monk school to phone up Mark Bray in Spain and offer him a high paying job where he's profiled over and over again in the New York Times?